Good morning. I'm Dr. Ron Godbolt, Senior Pastor, One Church Covenant Fellowship, and I'm glad to be with you this morning. Would you do me a favor before we get started? Hit that like and share button so others would know that we're here. And do me another favor. Visit us at One Church Covenant Fellowship as soon as you can. Every Sunday we're there at 11 a.m. with our morning worship. You can also go to our website, onechurchcf.com, so you find out what's going on at the church. And we'd love to have you come fellowship with us. I want to share from the 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, looking at verse number 9. I'm going to try to do this all together, but I want to put an emphasis on verse 9. 2 Corinthians 12 and 9. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. And then it goes on to say, most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Now, when you look at this Corinthian chapter, this 12th chapter, you got Paul, and it starts off with him having visions and seeing things that no one ever seen before. And because of that, God would allow a messenger of Satan to buffet him. In other words, he had to do something to keep Paul from getting the big head, because he could get out of sort with himself and thought saying, well, y'all might have been this, but have y'all been to heaven? Have you seen heaven? So in other words, God kept him humble with this thorn in his flesh. And then it goes on to say that Paul asked God to remove this from him thrice. And God said to him, the response, my grace is sufficient. So in other words, I've got enough grace to take you through whatever you are facing. That's what I want to point out to you this morning. This grace that God has left for us. And somebody put it this way, grace is God's resources available through Christ's efforts, GRACE. And so God has that grace that we need. And once God did not give Paul victory, did not bring him out of the being buffeted by Satan, he says in verse in the second part of that verse, most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecution, in distress for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. So Paul, after he got a touch of this grace, after he grabbed hold to what God was giving him to combat the enemy, he said, oh, Larry, I can take it. I can go on. I can fight through this. So thank you for your grace, God. And sure enough, God showed to him his grace is sufficient. And that's what I want to tell you. God will show you that his grace is sufficient. Regardless of what you're going through, just lean on him and watch him show you that his grace is sufficient. You'll be like Paul, I glory in my infirmities. I can deal with the reproaches. I can take the persecution. It doesn't bother me because I know his grace is keeping me. Amen. And remember, do what you can, do what's possible, and watch God do the impossible. God bless you.